Hi.
Welcome, everybody. How's it going? Hey, Nick, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing pretty well. I've had a chance of hanging out with my son for the last 2 days, which has been really fun.
Oh, nice.
But we've been going pretty hardcore. We went and saw a couple movies, and I am tired now. So-
I need to watch a couple movies too, but
and I
haven't
was watching,
yet.
I was watching a football game today that I think you may have been watching while I was at the movie theater. It was in my lap. I was doing both.
Okay, so let's just get this out of the way, OC Stacker. It was a great game. I mean, it was 3 points. They won by 3 points, but we have won 29 straight in a row for an SEC record. So, you can't win them all. So, congratulations, Alabama, for winning against Georgia today. Can't win them all. 29 straight. SEC. Woo.
That was pretty good.
And I got a flip coin. So,
Oh, is it down here today?
I did. I brought it with me just in case we did talk about football games today, because really college isn't my thing. That was inherited by marriage. So my thing is I got a flip coin. So.
Well, why don't you show everybody real quick what the flip coin is and just remind them. Some people.
Well, this is a game-used flip coin that was actually flipped on the field in 2021 on the New England Patriots Gillette Stadium. And this is pretty awesome.
I think that's pretty darn awesome, guys. So that's pretty fun.
And then I still need to take it out of the capsule, and I'll keep this capsule, but when I get behind me, we'll put it in there and stuff. So
yeah,
but I'll wait because I don't want anything to happen to this flip coin.
I think it'll be great. Well, so for everybody that's on right now, if you haven't already hit the thumbs up, go ahead and do that. This is a new time for us doing the show. So we want to make sure we get those thumbs up so that YouTube starts reminding everybody about jumping on. But I'm excited. We've got a great guest that's going to come on in just in a few minutes for you guys. So it's going to be a fun chat today. But before we get there, I did want to ask you, Nick, if you were watching the gold price on Friday.
No, I wasn't. I'm not buying right now, so I haven't checked.
Okay, so you haven't. When's the last time you checked the gold price?
Oh, probably Tuesday or Wednesday.
All right, look at that. Can you see that?
Oh my gosh, it's gone up considerably.
So
nice.
gold has jumped up and silver's jumped up too. We're at 2,071 on gold and 2,542 on silver.
Nice.
For Kitco. Now, if you really want to feel like it's going up higher, you just jump over to AppMex.
Yeah. Or the other bullion companies. A lot of them are.
AppMex has it at 2,085.
Oh my gosh. I don't understand that. I really don't. And because it's supposed to be live time as well.
But I will tell you guys, kind of a quick tip is if you're looking to liquidate some of your gold or silver, I would always, if you're okay with sending it into a store, an online bullion store, I would always at least get a bid from AppMex. And one of the reasons for that, especially products that are going to be closer to spot price, they have a higher spot price. They're buying based on their spot price. So that's something to keep in mind if you're looking to sell back. It definitely.
And it's easy as well. You could just send them an email of your inventory, and then they'll shoot you an email back with an estimate.
It is totally easy. It is not hard to do at all. So we have that in the news. Gold's up, silver's up. Platinum is another one that let's check out platinum real quick. So platinum is now $934, and that's gone up a bit. And we're continuing to see palladium go down. So that's kind of an interesting play here, guys. I remember when platinum was more expensive than gold, and now it's down. And so that
that's very volatile.
It's maybe another one to look at. I'm going to work on putting together a little platinum 101 and 102 videos this week, hopefully, to help you guys get a little sense of why platinum may be something to consider and also some of the cautions of it. But we'll definitely talk about that. But let's welcome everybody in the chat real quick, Nick, and then we can bring our guests here in a couple minutes. So we got Flag City Parts is in here.
Hi, Flag City.
Many have fallen asleep before the show starts. Well, that does happen a little bit on the East Coast for you guys. And we've got OC Stacker got started with a nice post for you here.
I know, but we addressed it. Readdress it. Congratulations, OC.
He's trying to cut hair. That's hilarious. We've got Magnum Pap in the house. Welcome. And Craig is welcome to everybody else. Thank you, Craig. Seymour Rivers is in here too. And then we also have, going down a little bit lower, Chetch Stacker. Welcome. And then we've got Bob Wachowski.
Bob, long time no see.
Right now. Deputy Gypsy Wolf is in the house as well. Thank you.
No, we're just on Surface Channel tonight. And FYI, he's not a real deputy, you guys.
You can put anything in your name, I suppose, if you want. And we have Financial Success Coach is in today. Welcome. They've put together a pretty cool channel. If you guys haven't checked out their stuff, they've got a lot of short videos that talk about tips on keeping your credit good, how to save some money.
I love saving money.
And recently they just had one of their, I think their last short they put out did about 5,000, almost 6,000 views, which is great.
Nice. Congratulations.
So they might be using your eye rolling methodology with those shorts. I don't know.
I don't know. Some of those eye rolls can. My last one did not, because I'm sure it had something to do with the Bama in the title.
Oh man, we've got John Bannon in the house as well. Welcome. Creeping Time.
Raimno.
Let's see. Michael's in here too. Welcome, Michael.
And Raimno is who we spoke about on Tiger's channel about a certain coin that he had.
Oh, yes. Welcome. And let's see. I think I'm getting caught up with everybody that's in here for right now. So we've got 20 people watching. If you guys haven't hit that thumbs up yet, please go ahead and do that. And one of the things, as I bring the guest on here in just a minute, what I want to do with you guys too is start off with, we're going to do a little intro. We'll have our guest introduce himself a little bit too. I'll say a few words. And then as we get started, what I want to do is also welcome you guys to put some questions in there. And we'll kind of talk about some of the things we're going to hit upon today. But I'd love to get some of your questions and see if we can help answer those for you too.
Because this is a real treat. We're going to learn a lot tonight. It's a real treat to
learn a lot today. So, but before we do that, real fast here, just readdress this from one of our videos we had recently talking about, food prepping and storage. If you guys like Ogginson Farms, or you're considering them as an option, they have the cans that are like this, the number 10 size cans.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are on sale on Amazon right now. I need to go get an affiliate link set up and all that stuff. I don't have that done yet, but you can get some great sales. Like a lot of stuff's like 50% off. So if you don't have enough of that, that's something to go take a look at. And then Nick, the other question I had for you is, do we know who's coming on for Tuesday yet?
No, because one guest wasn't able, they're going to be working. So I have another request in. So we'll see.
Okay.
To be determined.
And then I've got someone lined up for us. JT Coin Rings is going to come on next Saturday. So
that'll be very interesting as well.
Yep. We need to finalize the time and make sure we're good there. And there'll be some fun parts of that because I've sent some coins into him and he's checking those to see if we would be making a mistake of making a ring out of a Morgan or not.
Oh,
so
nah.
he's gone to his LCS and he's checking the dates, which will be fun. So there'll be a little video from that. And then I think we're gonna deal with the process, and hopefully between now and then he'll have time to start the process of making one, so we can kind of watch some of that and see what it's like.
That'll be fun.
But anyway, that's what we've got coming up. We're working on a handful of other guests that'll be coming in for the rest of the year, guys. So we're pretty excited about that. And then I'm hoping to have a
interesting guest, fun guest.
Fun guest. And I'm hoping to have a really big surprise for us all next Wednesday. I just can't tell you guys what it is yet.
Not even me?
In 2 Wednesdays from now.
2 Wednesdays.
Yes.
Oh, I think I know.
You think you know. So we're going to have some surprises, I think. I got to just make sure I can arrange everything.
That will be really, really awesome.
So I think that'll be fun too. All right. Well, we're going to bring our guest on right now. So let me have him. Let's see. I think I just pressed that. All right. Here we go.
All righty.
Hi there.
Hello. How's it going today?
Doing really well.
Good.
I'm used to doing the interviewing, so it's going to be interesting.
Well, thank
being
you for
interviewed.
joining us this evening. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, thank you. And I don't get interviewed very often, so just so if I have some bloopers out there,
Oh,
just
well,
know that they
the
come.
more the better. We'll just make it short, make it funny later.
Yep, yep.
I'm teasing.
No, it's true. Sometimes I'm interviewing some of the most really brilliant minds in investing and stuff, and sometimes like I'm surprised I even caught up in that conversation. And then when people start asking me questions, I like fumble the ball or something. Like dang, I didn't articulate that right. So,
Well, it's fine here, I promise.
mhm.
I think it's great. So who we have here today? I'll give you a quick intro. Daryl Thomas, and I wanted to make sure I pulled your channel's name up. It's the Money Level Show.
Yep,
So
yep.
if one of the mods could go and find the Money Levels Show on YouTube and then share the link, would be great for everybody too. But one of the things I'm going to throw out just as a quick intro, I don't know Daryl that well. I did jump on one of his live streams the other day, and we had a blast talking about a lot of stuff. But we talked about banking and macroeconomics, some of the things we like to invest in. And we also talked about, not spoiling your kids and maybe giving them too much too fast and having problems. And I will probably show a little video here in a minute about what happens when kids get out of control with money. Nick may have seen it on a chat we have, but I'll give you guys just a quick hint. I saw a 14-year-old gang of e-bikes, and there were about 50 of them clogging the entire street going to the freeway where I live.
I just couldn't believe it. I mean, I'm still shocked.
Freeway. They went on the freeway. Those things only go 20 miles an hour.
That's
anyway.
feels entitled. It just.
So we're going to show you a little. I'll show you a little bit of that towards the end. But what I love about Daryl's show, I've watched a handful of his videos. He's got great guests on, and it's not just great guests. He's able to pull in a lot of great questions. He understands a lot about macroeconomics and about charting. And for those of you that are watching right now, what's really important to me is to understand specifically as it relates to my channel and Nick's channel is what's happening with the price of gold and silver. Where's that going? What's happening to the US dollar? What's happening with interest rates? Are we going to see interest rates go up or down? The other things I like to look at is what are some of the other investments that are good to invest in? For me, I like to have things that are producing cash flow, that are spitting off money every month. I like to have things that are earning or creating value that are tax-free for retirement. Mm-hmm. And then I like to also have things that are really close to me that I can have in case things go really sideways in the country or the world. And I need to be able to kind of be my own bank and control things a bit too. And so I think Daryl has a few things that he can definitely share with us tonight that I think will be really interesting. And then what I'd love to do is also have you guys ask some questions. So what I'm going to do is have Daryl give us a little bit more of an intro, and maybe, he already kind of started doing that, but maybe Daryl, what I'd love to know is who are some of the people that you have been your favorite people to interview? And I know you've had a lot of them. So if any of those people are watching this and you don't call their name out, that doesn't mean he doesn't love you, but he's got a lot of but I'd love to know that. And I'd love to also better understand, do you invest in gold and silver? Do you have any kind of collectible coins is another question I have for you. And then the last one, I do have a little bit of crypto that I dabble in. I know most of the people watching this probably don't have crypto or don't really believe in it. But for me, it's been something I was doing before I started stacking gold and silver. And I, still hold some of that. But I'd love to understand a little bit about your philosophy and how you see things.
Yeah. Thank you. It's a broad macro question. So my channel focuses a lot on macroeconomics. And so what that entails is I try to see what's happening on a global scale, what's happening on the national scale in terms of policy. What is the Fed doing? What is the government doing? Fiscal policy, monetary policy, and then also looking at investor sentiment, because oftentimes, especially in the last 3 years when I got into this, I've seen a lot of reactions to when the Fed comes out and speaks. when the Fed decides that they want to raise rates or lower rates or whatnot, or keep, quantitative easing, like I kept seeing the market reactions to that. And so I wanted to understand more of that process. And so I focus a lot on macro so that I can be able to see what is the long-term trend and how can I position myself accordingly. And so that's pretty much like the main basis of my channel. I do get into the micro specific companies and cryptos and things of that nature. But for when I started the channel, I've mostly focused on macroeconomics. And I think some of my most favorite people to interview, I've interviewed Rick Rule. I've had Lynn Alden on my channel, Justin Hune. I've had Jim Rogers multiple times. I just put a video out today with Jim Rogers, and many others. I mean, Alice Dare McLeod. It's quite a few names. I think that my favorite interviews. I never really have a favorite interview, and I did interview Nomi Prince. Nomi Prince was an amazing interview. I think that was one of my favorites because I study macro, and the way she explains the banking system, how it works, I was able to engage in that conversation, back and forth, and really share, my perspectives along with hers, and we aligned on a lot of things. And this was because, like, I was going there to learn from her. Obviously, I like to learn from the people I bring on, but just from the research that I've done independently, I was able to communicate effectively with her in that conversation. That was a really good one that we did. But I would say I really like interviewing Rick Rule. The guy is just so, like, he's a friend of mine, personal friend of mine. Now I've been to his house. I'm going to his house in a couple of weeks. We've connected at the symposiums and the investment conferences and such. And he's just so brilliant. And when I say brilliant, like that's like a broad term, right? When I say brilliant, is like the man can communicate like 3 sentences in one, and so even when I'm interviewing him, like sometimes I have to like stop and, well, I can't stop, because I'm like in the middle, like we're not live recording, but we're recording in the middle of everything. But sometimes I have to take like a mental note, like I'm going to have to go back, and when I edit this video, I'm going to have to process what he's saying again, because that's how he communicates. And so after interviewing him multiple times, I mean, he's been on my channel probably like, I don't know, 10, 12 times. And I think that he's obviously one of my favorites. Some of my favorite people that I watch, like Lynn Alden, I interviewed her once in 2021. When my channel was a lot smaller. I don't think I had 1,000 subscribers then. And then her channel just took off. Like, I mean, not her channel, but her platform just took off. I mean, she went from 75,000 followers on Twitter to now she's at close to 700,000 followers.
Wow.
And so, and then I was able to catch her at the New Orleans Investment Conference recently. And I hope to have her on more at some point, but I'm trying to keep building the audience and everything so that, hopefully she'll come on again. Oh, you're on mute.
I've accidentally hit that. Thank you again for that intro. So for those of you that are in here, hit that thumbs up. If we can get up to, I don't know how to even tell on here, Nick. How do we tell?
I can tell. I can go in and tell.
I just hit I think we got 19 likes right now. I just hit the like button.
I'm going to go hit the like button too.
If we can get to 50 likes tonight, we will give away a silver women's quarter. Okay.
Oh, yes.
We will do one of those giveaways if we can get up to 50 likes tonight. So you guys go and message to your friends, have them jump on here. We're going to have a great show tonight. So, so Daryl, one of the things that that I really liked about the conversation we had the other day, looking at it, is I like your approach. Is very similar to one of our colleagues, Yankee, who has the Yankee Stacking channel. It's a little bit different. He won't touch cryptos, but what he's told me, and he's mentioned this on his channel before, is about 20% of his portfolio, where his goal is to have precious metals in there, which I think includes miners potentially. I don't know for sure. And then he has a lot of other investments that are producing cash flow for him. And that are diversified. And
Mhm.
so I know one thing that can happen to me very easily is I can start to get too heavy in a particular asset class based on the trends and what's going on. And it can be hard when you start to move too much around too quickly. And that's something that can get a little hard when a lot of the people that are watching our channel are managing a lot of things on their own too. Some of them may have a mutual fund that they're using, right? Or a few of them, they may have a financial advisor. But for the most part, when it comes down to the gold and silver investing part of it, a lot of them are doing it on their own. So one question I had for you, I saw an article today, and I will pull it up here in just a second. It should be right on the screen. Yeah, it's from Barron's. I didn't have a way of pulling it on my computer, so I'll just show you guys here. But it said, gold just hit a record high. Don't buy the metals. Buy these stocks instead. So the question I had for you is, do you invest in gold mining stocks? And is that something that you think would be worth starting to consider or look at? Or is that something you would tell people to hold off on right now?
Yeah. I do invest in gold mining stocks, also royalty and streaming, and gold explorers. There's, which I'll break all those different ones down here in a minute. But just like what you mentioned like a little bit ago, at one point, I think I had about 70 or 80% of my portfolio in metals, and it was just too much, because then when I need to get liquid, I had to, and this is like, this, which we'll get to the numismatic part soon, but I took some losses on some coins,
Of course.
and
Sure.
and some of them I did gain on, but just being that tied in there, and then you have to have the audience of who you're going to sell it to. Are you selling it on FeeBay? All these different things, right? And so like so
That's the truth.
we can get into that one later. But when I interviewed Rick Rule about it, I told him that on the show, and he's like, man, like, you have way too much in metals. He's like, invest in your business, grow your business so that you have another additional income. And so that's how I look at it now. It's like, how do I have a healthy balance? And then and obviously, the saying out there is that own gold and pray it doesn't go up, because if it goes up too high, most likely the rest of your life is suffering in some way or another. And so gold usually responds to crisis, which when we look at the gold chart, I will show like multiple different crises that we had and gold's response to it. And so that was the first thing I wanted to share. So when it comes to like the miners, I invest in the big miners. Obviously, you have the bigs, you have, the Barrick Golds, the Newmonts, things of that nature. So those are the ones that are actually producing, mining, all of that. And they are being killed right now. Like, all the gold stocks are being killed across the board. They've popped a little bit since then, but they're significantly down compared to the actual price of gold. And so some people have the take that I rather own what's in the ground by owning shares of this company that focuses on what's in the ground. And so that's like one way to look at it. Then you have royalty and streaming, which is less risky. You have they actually finance mines, and so they finance mines. So with royalties, they get a percentage of the income that the mines make that goes to the company, and then streaming, they get the gold ounces out of the ground at a particular price. So that may be, $1,300 an ounce or something like that. Where the ounces that are mined, the ounces that the company that finances the mine buys it at a cheap price. And so and that's kind of like because they help get this project going. And there's a lot of different projects within miners. It's not just like in one specific location. Like, you have all these different things you have to assess. Jurisdictional risk, like which country are you mining in? You could be somewhere where it's like the government may take your mine. I think Robert Kiyosaki talks about this quite a bit when he owned a silver mine or something like that, and the Chinese government came and took it.
Oh, wow.
So you have, yeah. So
A
you
risk.
have like jurisdictional risk. So you obviously, one of the greatest places to mine in the world is in in Nevada, because of how our government is structured and everything like that. Like the likelihood of it just being taken away, it's very unlikely versus like a South Africa or somewhere where the government may just come and just take what you have. So jurisdictional risk is very important. So a lot of the big miners won't take projects that have huge jurisdictional risk, and the same thing with the royalty and streamers. They likely won't finance certain projects that have a lot of jurisdictional risk.
Mhm.
And then you get to the explorers. These are the people at the ground level that go test the soil. They do pre-feasibility studies. They drill holes to hit certain targets and figure out how much grams per ton of rock are there. And so, and you have explorers, they focus on different metals. Some focus purely on gold, some focus on silver. You get tungsten, uranium, you get any commodity that has to be mined, pretty much copper. But the explorers, they're like the most risky, but you have the more reward. It's high
Yeah.
risk, but it's high reward.
So question on that real quick for you, Daryl. Like,
Yep.
So when someone's looking at that and you have a high risk and a high reward, have you heard anything out there in the marketplace, or do you have any kind of rules that tell you how much money might make sense to put into that? Or do you, for example, only put money you can lose in there? Or, if you put $500 in, you could make a pretty good reward out of it. And, hopefully $500 isn't going to cause you a huge problem. Is there any kind of rules or thoughts around, what percentage or how much money could you potentially put into some of these to have it be worth it for you, but at the same time, not get yourself into trouble?
Yeah. This kind of depends on like how far you want to go down this rabbit hole, right? I mean, because whenever you get into exploration companies, I mean, you have the geologists, some people go as far as like understanding the geology and like how certain findings that the geologist may find means that, okay, the likelihood of metals here. And so that's like a whole nother rabbit hole. I haven't dove down. I've interviewed a couple of geologists on my channel, but I'm still trying to understand that more. But so you have that kind of piece of it, but like, the reality is about 1 in 3,000 companies actually find a discovery that end up turning into a mine. Now, when it comes to weeding out those other companies to where you have like, say, like 20 companies where you're like, okay, these 20 companies have some really solid projects. They have, they have investments from some of the most brilliant people in this space. And then they have backing by certain mines. So like, for example, one of the exploration companies that I interviewed, Barrick Gold Barrick is in a partnership with them. So, that's something that really, matters as well. So, because it gives you an idea of like, okay, who's willing to take a risk on this company? So that's one thing. And then you want to get down to like what is the likelihood of this company being able to have something in the ground there. And so I wouldn't throw a lot of money in it, but hang on, you all, my daughter's in here terrorizing stuff. I gotta boot her out real quick.
Well, good. Then I can turn my heat on for a second.
There you go. Well, so the reason I asked that question, Nick, too, is I think we get into these situations too, guys, where it can be really easy to dive into stuff and try to go figure things out that you don't really know a lot about. So kind of what Daryl's talking about is there's a lot of work you have to do if you're going to start to figure out exploration companies. There's a lot more dynamics to it. If you're not someone that loves to really get into charts and to do research, in my opinion, I probably wouldn't put very much into exploration companies. And if you're looking to do some of the mining companies, they've been beaten way down. I mean, they're way down right now. I had a significant amount of money into mining stocks in the spring. And by the time I got to the end of the summer, I was just like, I'm going to move it into a different place. It's just not performing for me now, and I'm too early. And they've gone significantly further down from there. So I didn't take a big loss on them. I think I maybe made just a tiny bit of money when gold was peaking up, like early summer or so. But I ended up selling them at that point. I just didn't think it was going to be the best thing for me at that place. But Daryl, do you know? So looking at the explorations, I don't want to get too deep into that, but I think I'm gonna recommend people, if you do not already hold and you're already investing in mining stocks, I would probably stick with the bigs. Some of the bigs are going to be paying dividends right now, so there's a bonus to that. But do you see any indication right now with the price of gold that now could be a good time to start looking at mining stocks, or do you think we need to see something else happen first before we have an indicator that gold is going to start moving above the all-time high?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the mining stocks tend to lag gold, I mean, usually, and so that's one thing to factor in. And I just wanted to finish a thought based off what you said. So, like with the exploration companies, a lot of risks, but very high rewards. I mean, you could find, if you hit, you could find a 20-30 bagger. And, you know, a friend of mine, Tony Retta, he owns Tectonic Metals. And he told me about the story when he struck gold in, I think it was like 2015. He hit gold and his share price went from, all right, my wife had to come get her.
Oh, how old is she? How old?
She's 5, but she's
5. Oh, well, she just wants to join the show.
Yep, she
It's
does.
It's when my 17-year-olds come in and I'm like, you guys aren't 5.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So
she may know more than we do.
Yeah, she probably be listening to me, huh?
Yeah.
So I was, you know, so like you may find like a 20-30 bagger with the explorers, but you know, you want to have the best of the best, because they're not every company is good. And to get like some tips on that, all right, now I remember what I was saying. I mean, you can look at some of the big players and kind of see what companies they invest in. So when I was at the Rick Rule Symposium, like every company that was there, explorers that were there, Rick Rule has money in. You know, he has skin in the game in. So that's like one of the benefits of his symposium. It's like you can see like a glance into his portfolio.
Oh, that's interesting. That's good. Yeah.
And there's a lot of research newsletters out there. I just interviewed Gwen Preston from the Resource Maven, and she's been doing this 15 years. So she goes through exploration and stuff, and they're way more advanced than me. I'm just kind of picking up what I can.
I watched that interview and I was like, whoa, way more information than I probably need to know right now, but it was great.
yeah, definitely. So Tony Retta, for example. Hey, say hi. Say hi.
Hi, sweetheart. Hi. How are you?
She's running from mom.
Oh.
That's awesome. I mean,
so Tony Retta, for example,
don't be too worried about it, Daryl. It's okay.
Okay, yeah, no worries. You know, I usually edit. You know, I edit my video, so like if that happens when I have an interview on, I can. I'm going to edit it in the future, but this is live, so
it makes it fun.
Yeah, it does.
It does. It's cute.
She keep interrupting my train of thought. I'm like,
oh well.
So yeah, so I was sharing this story about Tony Retta, but when so like for example, explorers, like you have private placements, you know, which are people that invest in companies to help them get started. And what you're doing is helping finance these projects. So if they buy a certain amount of acres of land where they're going to be drilling, it may be next to a Barrick or a Newmont mine, or it may be next to some other companies and stocks that they have projects. And so, you know, they have to have capital to be able to drill. So the risk with that is that sometimes shareholders get diluted. Like they may issue more shares to fund these drilling projects if they can't get the capital somewhere. So that's a risk. And so you want to, like, whenever I'm assessing like these companies, I'm looking at, okay, how are you getting funded? Okay, what's your source of funding? What avenues, what connections do you have to be able to get funding to where I don't invest in your company, then the share price goes down because you can't get the extra capital to drill holes. So that's like one piece of it. So for example, this Argentina lithium company I was talking to at a conference, and I was thinking about, okay, lithium, what's going on with the price, blah, blah, blah. And so when I'm talking with the investor relations guy, he's like, yeah, we just landed a contract with, I forgot who it was, but it was a huge automaker. And the automaker fronted them like, I think it was $100 million. So they could cut checks to be able to finance their drilling projects. So when you go look at their chart, their stock went from 20 cents to 45 cents off that news, because then the shareholders are like, okay, we don't have to worry about being diluted. And so it's all these different factors in there. But and just to finish this up, so Tony Retta, he had a company, and pretty much he was investing in, or no, people were investing in a company. The stock went from 14 cents to 40 cents. The model with explorers is that once you find a drill target, the price goes up and then you sell it. So you have this thing that's called the Lassonde curve. So you have the exploration project. When exploration project hits a target, so of whatever metal it's mining, it goes up and then it levels off. And then it goes into production, which the production is where the chart kind of goes down, and then they find like, okay, how accurate is this target, right? And then you have the big miners that come in and buy it at that level, and then it goes up a lot higher. So Tony, he hit gold, and pretty much some people sold out of the company because they're like, hey, you're deviating from the model. You want to take it to production and blah, blah, blah. And because he wanted to produce it. So he ended up finding 5 million ounces of gold.
Whoa.
So his share price went from 40 cents to about $4 or something. And he ended up selling the company for like 500 million. So, wow. But that's not like, that was like a rare case.
In that case, you really don't need a lot of money for it to really perform.
Yeah.
And exactly. So I think that's pretty cool. So guys, what I'll tell you on, and I got another subject I want to bring up here as we go into this. So Daryl, thank you very much for explaining that. When you guys are looking at mining stocks, because I know some of you have been playing around with it. I've seen you on other chats asking questions, and we do see a lot of our colleagues get sponsorships by different gold mining companies that come on. And so that's why I wanted to have Daryl talk about that a little bit. I know it may not be something you guys totally do, but I wanted to give you an unbiased opinion and some information about that, because when those other things come on, they're paid ads. So you're only hearing what that company wants you to hear. And yes, their stocks oftentimes go up 20% the next day because all of you jump and hurry and buy it because you just saw this thing on, someone's channel. Be careful with that. If you don't understand the stock market, be very careful with it. You need to look at how that company is performing. Yep. You need to understand a lot of things about the company. Like, does it have money? Is it having problems? Is it about to go bankrupt? But what I do want to tell you guys is when gold breaks out, historically, the mining companies catch up, as Daryl was saying, and they will go multiples higher than the spot price of gold. So this isn't for your wealth insurance. This is a different kind of gold. This is more speculation, and it's a way to potentially increase your wealth and make some money. So I definitely, when people are saying, hey, I want to have 10 or 20 or 5 to 20% in precious metals, I would not include the mining stocks in that for myself. To me, that's physical gold that I hold, or Most of mine's in a vault facility. I put it in the vault facility. And, you know, a lot of people are very heavy in silver. Some people are heavier in gold. To me, it really depends on if you have wealth that you're trying to protect and insure, you should be heavier in gold, in my opinion. You should not be heavy in silver. That's me. That's surfer. If you do not have a lot of wealth to protect and you're wanting to grow your wealth, right now the gold to silver ratio, I think, is still sitting in the 82 on the ratio. And you don't have a lot of wealth, I would focus a little bit more on silver. It's less expensive, and that ratio will come down and be more in line at some point. I can't tell you what it's going to go down to, but traditionally it can come down into that 60 range from 80. And it could go lower. If you pull it out of the ground, most people are telling us it's somewhere between 1 to 7. So 1 ounce of gold to 7 ounces of silver. It might be as high as 1 to 10. Good luck on seeing it ever trade at that. I really don't think it's going to trade at that unless the entire financial system melts down. And to Daryl's point, you don't want that to happen, because then everything else, like your job, could potentially go down. But that's how I kind of look at it when I'm looking at the metals. So I put mining stocks into my stock portfolio. So if I'm going to be investing in stocks, part of that might be the mining stocks. And why am I looking at mining stocks? Because of the opportunity. Right now, they're really low. And if I believe gold's going to start to break out, then that is a stock that I'm going to start to consider and maybe move some money towards. So that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm starting my evaluation process.
Do you have any recommendations?
So for me, Newmont is one that I'm looking at right now. And Barrick Gold is another one. And those are two big ones. You're not going to get the, based on what Daryl was saying, that was almost like a 10x return or a 20x return on that one.
Yeah, it's like you're
not going to get that.
The explorers are like micro caps, small caps that are going to double, triple, quadruple. You know, that's where you can get the 20x, right? A Barrick, I mean, you may triple, you know, or a Newmont, you may double, right? I think Newmont mining was at $80 and now it's at $40. I think it hit $80 last year.
We have some recommendations in the chat as well.
Yep.
You heard some of these?
Let's see.
FSM. I don't know that one.
Yep, I heard of FSM. They do, I think they're silver, right? That Fortunia.
Southern Copper.
Yep, Southern Copper. Yep. So yeah, I've heard of them before. I haven't looked.
Platinum mining stocks I've seen are going up right now.
Yeah, some of them have done okay this year too. A lot of them have gone down, but a few of them have done well.
So when I see the silver and gold stocks going down, I've seen the platinum going up.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of interesting.
When I bought Newmont, it was paying out a 5% dividend. It is not doing that anymore. It's come up from there. So that's one I wish I maybe held on to, because
I wish I remember the one I've been
5% dividend right now is great. If I can get a 5% dividend on a stock that I think is going to break out when gold goes up, I want to say it's like 3.25% around there. So anyway, guys, look at that. We're going to move off of I
wanted to add one last point. And I mean, the biggest part is just knowing what type of investor are you. I mean, are you you have alpha investors and beta investors. It's not a negative connotation with either. Beta are just like people that I like to enjoy life, not worry about the stocks. I'm not trying to look at my portfolio every day, things like that. You may be better going off buying an ETF like a GDX or GDXJ. But it's just because you get diversified, you're diversified through them owning multiple different companies within it. If you're like an alpha investor where you're like, hey, I like to know what company I'm in, I like to know their balance sheet,
absolutely,
I like to know, all of that, then you will look at individual stocks. But it just kind of just depends on what type of investor you are.
That's true too. And right now, for those of you that maybe don't know a lot about the stock market, most of you probably know what a mutual fund is, which is like a basket of companies that are owned in a fund, and you don't own any stock. You just own a portion of that fund. And then you have ETFs that have come out. They've become more popular than mutual funds in some arenas. They're easier to trade in and out of because they trade like a stock. But some of them are trading on future value. Some of them are trading on spot. And if they're trading on spot, that means they actually hold the actual stocks. versus they're trading on where they think the stocks are going to go. It's kind of a bet. Those you need to be kind of careful of and look around too, because you can have some pretty good swings on stuff. Two comments I want to do real quick, and then we'll move off. Constitutional Stacker had one here.
We get deep on this stuff. We can spend a whole episode on it.
Right.
We definitely could. So here's a Constitutional Stacker says he has a lot of mining stocks: silver, gold, uranium, and platinum. So the one thing I just wanted to point out there is when you're looking at mining stocks, don't forget uranium. There is no way in the world we can have this many people on the planet and not being doing more nuclear, guys, in my opinion. Like, we're all just going to run out of electricity and have problems. However, it's going to take time for countries to decide they want to move that direction. Right now, everybody's moving towards solar panels and wind farms, but we're killing whales all over the place on the East Coast with the big wind towers. And solar panels don't work in Maine when it's snowing outside.
Shots fired.
Are we really killing the whales with wind?
We are. There a ton of dead whales are washing up on the shores, and the only thing that's changed is a lot of the wind towers. So,
okay, we don't have a lot of those, and we don't have a lot of solar in my state.
Maybe not in Maine, but they're off of like
Massachusetts. Yeah, Massachusetts. Yeah, I've heard a little bit of stories about that.
So I'm not saying you can't use that stuff. I'm just saying that. Well, let me put it this way: nuclear is way less expensive.
It really is.
Energy. So I think there's a play for uranium. I think that's one to look at, guys, for sure. And then another one that a lot of people forget too is
really quick on uranium. So uranium, you all like that's like one of my big positions because as many nations, I mean, most countries have by 2040, 2050 going clean energy. Nuclear is the answer. I would say that. I mean, even right now, the price of uranium has skyrocketed quite a bit. It was clobbered after the last bull run in the commodities, and we had the Fukushima, which was the tsunami and the nuclear accident in Japan, and then uranium pretty much got killed then. But right now, ever since COVID, they shut down a lot of the mines. The U.S. uses 20% of its energy as nuclear. So that's one piece of it. In the globe, on the world basis, we use 10% of the world's energy is nuclear, and we have about a 50 million pound deficit. And so yeah, it's supply and demand, right? Supply and demand.
Are we too late if we don't own it yet to consider it?
I don't think we're too late because we're just now seeing a lot more adoption. I mean, China's building a lot of nuclear reactors, which these reactors need a lot of uranium to operate. The U.S. actually in October just opened its own refinery. We were getting a lot of our it was either a refinery or enrichment. I think it was enrichment. But we're getting a lot of our enrichment from Russia. Russia supplies about 40% of the world's enriched uranium, and they aren't favorable in a lot of countries' eyes right now. So, and then we passed like the Advance Act, which was like a nuclear act that pretty much stated like, hey, we need this not only for our military, but this is a clean form of energy that can serve as a base load power because solar and wind are weather dependent and nuclear isn't weather dependent. So
I agree. So I'm going to pull up, sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, I'm done.
I'm sorry, I did that too fast. That was not a good transition. That's another point.
No, you're good. You're good.
Sorry. I was just going to pull up this comment here because I think it's really important, guys. This is one of the reasons I wanted to bring on Daryl tonight. Okay, so Nick and I have been doing this live stream twice a week for quite a while now. We've hit real heavy on coins. We've hit really heavy on stacking. We've had one video about food stacking. You can't eat gold and silver. You can't eat stocks. You can't eat your car or your house.
Yes.
If we get into any kind of a situation where, look, I live in Southern California, we're expecting like an 8 or bigger earthquake on the San Andreas. If that hits, none of the bridges are going to stay, you guys. The bridges are going to fall all over the place. And if you ever pull up a map of Los Angeles, okay, we don't just have freeways here. We have like freeways that do this all over the place. There's so
Like
many of them.
spaghetti.
It's like spaghetti, and there's so many of them. It's the reason we have such bad traffic here is you're always merging. There's always a freeway merging into another freeway. And it's like every like 3 or 4 miles, you're merging into another freeway. It's insane.
Yeah, it's like Atlanta. They call it Spaghetti Junction.
There you go. So if those all fall down, I mean, we're talking months before you're getting, you know, shipments of food in here at a regular basis and stuff. So I wanted to talk about that because there's certain areas, if you live in Florida, you may have a week or two that you get, or 3 weeks where you have a problem because of hurricanes, right?
Or in New England, you might have some snow that you can't get out because you're snowed in. Just if you don't mind, and we'll just take a second, but I'd like to address OC Stacker. I don't know if he heard us, but he's quite active in the chat.
Okay. Hey, OC, you got to knock it off a little bit. You're distracting us.
Well, he probably didn't hear my speech, but it was a great game. After winning 29 straight, I think it was time for Georgia maybe to have one loss. You know, 29 straight is quite a big deal in the SEC. So go Dogs. There's only 3 points.
You guys should both be happy. Let me put it that way.
I am. No, it was a great game. And
my college teams can't do crap. So like every year we have a win. We have 2 wins in a row and we think it's going to be a good season, and then it just peters out and it dies.
Yeah. So. And you know, I like my professional sports more. So I inherited, you know, the college. But anyways, great game. And there you go.
So I think that's fun. So we'll have some fun with that too, OC, a little bit later here too. But going back to, so the food thing is important, I think, guys. We did a video on that. The reason I wanted to bring Daryl on too is I think it's important to understand that it's really easy for me as a stacker to get to 100% very quickly if I let myself in precious metals. Okay. And what I mean by that is what funds I have to invest, right? Mm-hmm. You can only get to 100% if you sell everything else and you only have precious metals. But what I'm investing, if I have $100 today and I'm going to invest, it can become very easy, especially when I'm going to these auctions that are on YouTube. And when I've got these different sales that are coming in my inbox all the time from online bullion dealers, or I've got, you know, I might be stopping by an LCS or hearing that Nick has some cool new coin that she's showing, or someone else. It can be very easy for us to just default and put everything into gold and silver.
It's very easy. It almost becomes addictive almost.
And I have a little bit of the same problem Daryl has, but I'm not quite there yet because I haven't taken the time to sell my numismatics. So
I've sold some of mine. And I make more money off the numismatics than I do just the regular, you know,
we do. So as soon as we're done with this comment from Constitutional Stacker, I want to jump into numismatics, and I want to talk to you a little bit about your situation, Daryl. I want to tell you guys mine a little bit. I want to have Nick help us because she's more of an expert on this than I am. But the last thing I just want to say here is hopefully you guys understand the reason we're bringing some of this diversification to the table on investing, because it's helping you guys understand things I've gone through and some of my tendencies to make sure I don't go overdid it. I overdid it with buying some of those Napoleon coins the other day on SD Bullion.
Oh, you did? Oh my goodness. I stayed away. I didn't really, I know better. I just don't go, I don't look.
We're gonna have some of them go on for auction, and I got some for OC Stacker. I got some for my dad.
Oh, okay.
So I'm in the process of you know, some of them are going to go to other people, but I also picked up a few of them because I think I can flip them on Feebay. I do have a Feebay channel.
I love that. I had never heard that until tonight. That's great.
And they're almost sold out.
A lot of fees.
They do.
Yes, they do. Oh my gosh.
Lower. I'm 5 or 8% is my fee. I never pay for advertising on there.
Oh, I've gotten hooked in that stuff.
Yeah, and I usually make money. Yeah. Sometimes I've got something that's expensive that I just realized was a dumb purchase, and I just want to move it. And I'm willing to take like a 5 or 10% loss so I can move my money out and put it into something else. Mm-hmm. It's not a lot. We're talking like on a $100 coin or a $200 coin or something. So it's not going to kill me.
Yeah, well, I
have one comment before we transition too.
Yeah, so real quick, I'll just read this real quick here. So guys, look. The point I brought up for Constitutional Stacker here and kind of what I'm just making is I think it's important, and I'm hoping to bring you guys information not only about fun coins to collect, not only about bullion that can help protect your wealth, and silver that could potentially help you in a SHTF situation, or that could potentially go up a lot more than gold over time. I think it is important to also have money in other things. So I'm more of a real estate investor than anything else. I just right now don't have a lot of real estate. I just have my house. I've been selling my real estate. I think we're at a pretty high point. So I've been moving it out of those places because a lot of my real estate was not cash flowing. It was farmland. So we sold a bunch of farmland. Now I know a lot of people are buying farmland, but I'm not a farmer. And we were going to develop it, and we just couldn't develop it, couldn't get the roads there and make it cost effective for us. So we decided to sell that. And when prices I'm waiting to see what's going to happen with the market a little bit further into next year, and I might do something different. But I'm also not real heavy in the stock market personally, because I do feel like there's going to be some changes here pretty soon. And so I am a little concerned about that. I'm not heavy in bonds, but I do have stocks. I do have some crypto. I'm heavier in the metals, and I'm in the place where I'm starting to sell more of my metals because the price is good to sell right now based on when I bought them. And my percentage is a little higher than I want it to be. And so I think it's okay to make those adjustments, but be careful you don't get yourself too heavy in one direction, and not have an exit strategy, I guess, is where I'll kind of leave that.
Yeah. And then you also don't want to be in a position where you got to sell at a price you don't like, as well. So
yeah.
So I was just gonna piggyback on that. Like the one big thing for me was, the whole Bitcoin gold debate. Even when Peter Schiff and I forget, it was Alex Mashinsky or something, and I was listening to a lot of that, and we tend to I was in the gold bug mindset then.
Yes.
But however, like just me as a person, I know how to humble myself and admit defeat whenever it comes, right? And so when the point was made that, hey, you could have made all this money off speculating in this asset, and then you could have put that money in the gold. You could have had a whole lot more ounces of gold than you have now. Obviously, I say speculating. I don't say going all in that. There's flexibility, usually flexibility within people's portfolios. And so for me, I was mostly in gold, but if I would have put a little more money into the crypto and played the FOMO and the mentalities and the psychology of all these other people that are going in and investing in these, these coins, right? I could have made a lot of money and went and put that in the gold and got more gold, and so, so I think that's kind of something that helped shift my mindset, and just gold is my insurance. I don't want to sell it. I want to pass it down to my kids, my grandkids, on and on. And then everything else I'm speculating and or investing, trying to make my money grow.
Yeah, and so just to clarify, when you're saying it, speculating, there's going to be different levels of that, right? There's some things that have high risk reward. There's other things that, even a dividend stock technically is speculating, because you believe that the company is going to continue to pay out the dividend, and you're hoping that the dividend stock goes up over time. When you buy real estate, guys, it's speculating. You think the value of the real estate is going to keep going up, and it has for a very long time. However, we've been in a super cycle of about 50 years of interest rates coming down. So if we're not in a cycle of interest rates coming down anymore like that consistently, real estate may not have the same large drivers up that it's had in the past, unless we get into hyperinflation. That's another story. But those are things definitely to watch out for. Okay, so what I wanted to shift to is I'd like to ask everybody, first off, if someone could give me a readout where we're at on the thumbs up. If we can get to 50,
35.
We're at 35. Okay, so guys, let's see if we can get this up to 50. I'd like to know if anybody has numismatic coins that, I guess, put a 1 in if you have numismatic coins. So we're going to include anything that is pre-33. And I'll include things that are graded, that are like Morgans and Peace dollars that you guys have. And then any of the other coins you have that are graded too. For me, I think I've probably got a little bit too much of it at the moment. And partially where I got out of whack is I ended up having a big IRS bill that I didn't realize was going to be coming in. I totally underestimated that. And then I had some flooding stuff in my house I needed to take care of. And so I ran through a bunch of my reserve cash funds that I keep, my emergency fund. I needed to replenish that. And now I've gotten to a point where my company cut my pay drastically by about 20% this year. And for me, I'm very specialized. I have a really hard time getting a new job whenever anything's not great. And it's usually recruiters coming off LinkedIn, finding my resume that's very unique and specialized, and they hire me. And so right now I'm kind of beholden to my company on some of that stuff. So for me, I've had to slowly sell some of my gold. And I'm now looking at some of my numismatics so that I can still hold on to bullion. I want to keep some of my bullion and not be completely out of that. So I'm kind of at the point, I think what you're saying too, Daryl, which is I might be able to break even on selling some of these things, but I've got to find the right buyer, and it's not going to be a quick, easy sell even on eBay. And so I guess a question I have for you, Daryl, as well as for you, Nick, is have you guys, so I know Daryl has sold some, but Nick, have you ever sold any numismatics, or are you considering potentially doing that? And have you been able to make money from it? Has it been something?
And I've sold quite a bit.
So real quick, a quick shout out. JT Coins is in here, guys. He'll be on next Saturday with us. So check out his channel yet. And thank you for the super chats. I know you threw 2 of those in there, so thank you very much. But go ahead, Nick.
I've sold a lot of Walking Liberties as I upgraded in my collection, and I just knew people that liked them, and I said I had them for sale, and if they were willing to purchase, and they did. And YouTube helped too, because our peers. So it's easier to sell peer to peer, especially if you know what they like. So I was able to upgrade my collection, and then I sold the ones that I didn't were duplicates, and I made a good bit of money. And then I turned it back into put more back into my collection.
I think that's great. So,
that's a little bit of a different numismatic. That's not like your Peter Parker Spider-Man coin.
No. And
those
I've lost money on those type. I've lost money on the collectible silver rounds. Those I stay away from. But that was some of the things I got into early on, and I kind of learned my lesson. That was some of the mistakes I made buying silver.
Yeah. And for me, the same thing. Like I started seeing like the Winnie the Pooh coins,
the Disney,
the Disney things, like those where I was buying them for cheap, but then like when I went to sell them and I needed to liquidate some of the metals I had, like I took some losses on them. Unless it was like a low mintage or something that was super popular, and the sentiment on those things change, change like the wind. But and then I started realizing, like, okay, well, most people are buying, constitutional. Most people buy, American Silver Eagles, American Gold Eagles. Like there's specific coins that is always a buyer in the market for,
Maples.
Maples, and so that was kind of my thing. Was like, okay, I need to be able to be liquid, and having these coins that someone may not like, or may not want to pay a high premium for. I mean, because if you're paying, $100 for this 1 ounce silver round, the artwork is cool, but at the end of the day, like, can you sell it for $100? I mean, because you take it to your local coin dealer and they're going to give you, the price of silver.
Not everybody's going to want a Hulk coin with a queen on the back. And those type I've tried to sell on eBay, and I've lost a lot of money because of the fees. But with the numismatic coins, I can find a buyer a lot easier.
Well, the Spider-Man coin that a lot of people probably know about, they started off, I think you could buy them originally for like $33 or so, and they went all the way up to $200.
How long will it stay up that to 200?
Way down. They went to 180, and then I sold one at 150. And I just saw an auction bid that got one yesterday, because I do watch some of these to kind of see what's going on, because I'm selling some similar stuff. It just went for $94.
Just like with anything, the hype, the hype doesn't last long, and so people can lose a lot of money on hype.
They do. So I just sold a Marvel set, just as an example for everybody, a Marvel set of the 9 coins, including that Spider-Man coin for $625. And there's other sellers that are selling it for in the mid 500s, and they're not moving them. So I happened to find the right person. I put it up at the right time, but it's starting to come down a little bit. Comic books do the same kind of thing. But the interesting thing is going to be if you don't want to lose money and you can hold it. I think silver will be higher over the next 3 years than it is today. I think gold's going to be higher than where it is in the next 3 years than it is today. And it might even happen a lot sooner than that. It could happen in the next couple of weeks to a few months. But here's the thing. So let's say silver goes up to $50. I still don't think the Spider-Man coin is going to jump up and double in price, but your silver buffalo will.
Yeah. And say like if it was like any type of catastrophe, where you had to barter your metals, like is someone like if you go to the market for a loaf of bread, let's say a loaf of bread, is the person gonna, are they gonna go based off the silver content, like how much silver is in the coin? Are you gonna be able to convince that person this is a Spider-Man silver coin?
Right, exactly.
I want 5 loaves of bread, and that person may be like, nope.
Nope.
So you take it or leave it. Like
that's why I like constitutional. It's already fractional, and that is easy to sell as well. The constitutional is a lot easier to sell than one of those rounds.
Yep, exactly.
Well, it is right now, but people used to get rid of that stuff. That's why it got called junk. For a very long time, people didn't want anything to do with it. They were melting it. They were just getting rid of it.
Well, then I want all their junk because.
Well, we're in different days, though. I mean, you go back to, you look at the 70s, and then you start looking at the 80s and 90s, and things are going up and up and up, and it's looking all good. No one's worrying about SHTF situations. They just wanted to put their money into the new thing called the internet and make a ton of money off of it.
Well, I think it was back in the early 80s that silver did get up to almost $40 to $50 in the early 80s for a split second.
Yeah, there was I forget the brothers, they were buying up a ton of silver.
Was it the Hunt brothers?
Yeah, the Hunt brothers.
The Hunt brothers.
So that it did it there, and then we had 50.
And Warren Buffett bought in the 90s when it was like, was it like $1 off? Yeah, like $2 an ounce or something like that.
Yeah, he did. So, quick question that comes in here that I don't know if you have any charts that you might be able to share with us, but a question is, where's silver going by the end of January or December or January? Do we think it's going to go down? From what I've been looking at recently, it feels like there's still a lot of pressure and it's boiling with gold to potentially push a little higher. However, I have not looked in the last 3 days on what the dollar is doing. So I'm not exactly sure if the dollar is continuing to get pressured downward. If it is, then I think you're going to see gold keep going up. I think you're going to see the cryptos going up as well. If we start to see the dollar,
chart up if you want me to share,
that would be great. Yeah, if you could.
Right, cool.
I don't like to speculate on the price of silver and gold myself. I mean, because it's.
If you look at what the dollar is doing, can help you understand if it's a upward or downward motion that.
There's a lot of factors too, the interest rates and.
Yep. All right, so here's the dollar chart. We can see the dollar's been. I mean, obviously, longer term, we all know that the dollar's gonna go down. I mean, that's just historical, everything. But right now, currently, the dollar's on the decline. And if you look on this chart, whenever the dollar goes down, that means that gold goes up and many other assets go up too. I mean, right now we're seeing stocks, Bitcoin, cryptos, they're all going up because the dollar's going down. And so this right here shows the relation here. As you can see that when the dollar goes up, the blue line, gold goes down. When the dollar goes down, gold goes up. So you can see that whenever the dollar gets stronger, it's because it's like a risk off environment. And so many times people may be like, hey, I'm getting out of these tech stocks, all these different things, right? And then, I mean, you can see that here. I mean, the Fed started announcing interest rate hikes around October of 2021. And then you had Russia, Ukraine, all these things, right? And then the dollar shoots straight up and gold just plummets. I mean, I think gold hit was it 1600 or something like that
Yeah.
at that time, October of last year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
I was buying a lot of gold back then.
yep, exactly. And so now you're seeing like the dollar's starting to trend back down and gold's popping. But the question is the dollar going to continue to trend down right now? What type of event would cause the dollar to spike? Obviously, if we have like a some type of drawdown in the equity markets or anything like that, something very dramatic happen, I mean, the dollar can spike up again and gold could go down again. So, but
It's
it
very
just
true.
kind of depends.
So my answer to that would be, I think okay, that works. So my answer to Ellie on that is, it could go up and it could go down. We don't know for sure. When we start to see, you're going to know that gold's breaking out. Let me put it that way. You're going to start to see it really starting to jump per day, and it's going up. So right now, I would not change I'm not changing my strategy. If I'm dollar cost averaging on buying, part of my strategy is I'm always dollar cost averaging buying and selling. But that's me. That's not
I do the same.
That's
I
not
do
my
the
static
same.
portfolio. I'm not like trying to take, I'm not buying constitutional and then turning around and selling constitutional. There's certain coins that I will buy and I will sell them to keep my YouTube channel going. And there are things that I think are going to do well, like the Napoleon coin, for example. I think that is going to sell out pretty quickly. And I think it's going to go up over the next 2 years. So I buy a couple extra 10th ounces that I can hold on to and I can sell and make some money on.
But you do have a way to sell. Make sure people have, an exit strategy, because that's just as important as buying, is knowing how you're going to sell it.
It is. So for those of you that don't have a selling strategy, you got to be very disciplined on how much you're adding to your stack on a regular basis. And I would just find an interval, whether that's weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, that you're adding to it. Find an average amount that works for your portfolio budget, so that you're not going into debt over it. It's extra money that you have that would maybe go into the bank as savings. And that's what I'm personally doing, where I might buy a little bit every couple of days. I had Andy Scheckman on my, I interviewed him, and we're going to have him on the show here pretty soon. And one of the things that Andy's awesome. One of the things we talked to Andy about is he made a promise to his dad that every 2 weeks he would buy some silver. And so every 2 weeks,
every pay period.
Yep.
Right. So every pay period.
And I think that's a great example of a dollar cost average strategy of just every pay period you buy a little bit. But to Daryl's point and Nick's point, and some points I've made in the past too, be careful in what you're buying. Don't go too crazy on having too high of a percentage of your portfolio be collectible Hulk coins, for example.
Yeah, because not everybody likes the Hulk or, any of the Marvel. And I mean, there's a lot of pretty stuff.
There is.
But that doesn't necessarily mean pretty is going to always be a great investment.
The artwork is fantastic.
It's awesome.
This is like, but yeah, and we ain't even touching on premiums, like we're just talking about the basics. I mean, like, when premiums were on the ASE was like,
and those were very high. And when they were so high, I was not buying. I bought maybe 1 or 2 a year because I wanted consecutive years in the collection. But when the premiums went down, I stocked up on the ASE, because I do think eventually those premiums will go back up again.
For sure. And I think the thing too, guys, is I would not bet on a coin purchase if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have an exit strategy. So I do have an eBay store. I pay 5 to 8% in fees, and that's it. And I'm able to have things sit there for a year before I sell them. And I had a Queen's Beast completer coin, 1 ounce, that I paid less than a gold eagle for. So I paid less than a gold eagle for it, and I sold it for just about $3,000 earlier this year.
Wow.
That was a coin that I knew was going to be big. I bought 2 of them. I kept one for myself. And because it sold for that high, I put my second one up. It has not moved yet, but I've had a few bids at like 26. I think I can get more for it, and I'm willing to hold on to it a little bit longer. That's me. That's part of my speculation. It's part of it's not my stack. It's part of my like side hustle or side business, to kind of do some of those things. So don't follow that aspect if you don't have that. Yeah, go ahead.
There's a lot of resources out there too. So as they're collecting, start looking for their exit strategy. At least start thinking about it.
For sure, guys. So look at that. So when I say like the Napoleon coin, the reason I look at that one is it has a low mintage. If something has a low mintage and it's the first of a series, it has higher odds of having an upside to it. Okay.
Just be careful, because that's not always, just be careful.
You be careful. That's something I can take on the risk for. Just like Daryl was talking about buying an exploration company. You can take on the risk for the exploration company. A lot of you probably shouldn't dabble too hard into that. But what you may want to look at is things that are going to be better priced in your lower price gold, your lower price silver when you're stacking and adding to it. So we had these Black Friday sales that just came up where you were able to buy from, I think SD Bullion and AppMex both had sales on gold that were like $10 or $20 over spot price. Those can be good deals. Now, a lot of people were asking me questions, should I even buy right now because the spot's so high? I don't know. I can't tell you guys. I don't know where the spot's going to be in a year from now. I just have a feeling it's going to keep going up.
I think steady. You should just do steady as much as you can. Just continue.
Yeah, I agree. If you want, I could share the gold demand chart if you think that.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure.
Please.
Let's look at that. That'd be great.
All right, so this is a chart from the World Gold Council. The thing with this chart is you have disclosed and you have undisclosed central bank buying. So not every central bank discloses their how much gold they actually buy. But if you look at the purple section, these are central bank purchases. I mean, as you can see over the last, 5, 10 years, it has increased significantly, especially in 2022. And this was like a pivotal year. I mean, because the U.S. pretty much weaponized the dollar against when they kicked Russia off the SWIFT system and such. And so then you begin to see more of like the BRICS nations, which they've been around for a while. Like, I mean, I think like 20 years or so. But you begin to see more news about them and, them talking about like an alternate, currency to the dollar. So you begin to see like more countries like buying gold. I mean, then you had, Saudi Arabia being willing to sell oil in other currencies or being able to trade it for gold and such. And so the increasing amount of central banks buying gold has increased significantly. I mean, if you look at 2020, no central bank bought gold, but then you look at 2022, they bought a lot. Other factors that this shows, I mean, it shows like the jewelry fabrication, shows ETFs. I think those are like the GLD and, things of that nature. And then you have total bar and coin demand, and then the technology demand. So this was from Q3. So this doesn't show every quarter for every year, but it's just showing the Q3 for 2022, 2023, and so on and so forth.
I think that's great.
So, I mean, the big banks are buying it, which I mean, that says a lot, I think.
It's an indicator maybe we should be buying some.
Yep.
I think so. And here's the thing, guys. Inflation has gone up a lot over the last 2 years, and the price of gold has not matched that yet. Gold usually trails behind inflation. So I fully expect to see an increase over the next couple of years. I don't want to call a price out, but I have Kitco News came out the other day and said they believe over the next 3 quarters that there could be a $700 increase in the price of gold. That was in an article they had. So I know a lot of you will say, oh my gosh, no, I don't want it to do that. And that goes to Daryl's point earlier. It's great to feel like you're getting more bang for your buck and you've got more money. The problem is for it to go up to 700. Well, let me say 2 things. It's possible for it to go up $700 without having everything else fall apart. It could just be catching up to where it should be based on inflation. Okay, so there is an element to that. But anytime gold does drastically go up, so let's say it starts moving into the 4,000, the 8,000, the 10,000 range, which it's done that in the past. It's gone up 6x before. a couple times. If it does that again, that is where things have come unhinged and they're out of control. And it's because the dollar is losing value like crazy. And there's just not a lot of trust in the financial system. So that's where you don't want gold to go up, because you're probably not feeling like your money that you're making from your job is paying for your bills, and a lot of other issues are going on. But that's one of the reasons I do stack, is to kind of create that wealth insurance just in case we have, some crazy situations happen.
I do want to share one more thing really quick. This is just like, when I say gold is like a hedge, against crisis and pandemonium, I want to show that really quick.
That'd be great.
All right, so let me just remove the dollar. So as you can see here, this is over the last 5 years. I mean, 2020 we had the pandemic. Obviously, there's always usually initial drawdown in gold whenever the crisis hits, but if people got to get liquid, right? And so then you see gold shoots up. I mean, this was in August of 2020. Then it comes down, levels off, and then you get over here. This is Russia, Ukraine, where it hit close to that all-time high again as well. And then you get gold coming down again. Then you get the banking crisis of March of this year, where gold touched that all-time high again. And so obviously right now I don't foresee a crisis. Maybe there's something happening in the market that I don't know of, but or this could just be gold going up like how we suspect it would. But the usually it does respond when there's a crisis. You can see it on these three levels, and I named the events that matched them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've seen a lot of
do elections also affect the gold price?
I don't know. I haven't. I don't know. I really do not know. Let me see.
There's factors that can affect it. It depends on what's going on in the market, but a lot of times things are a little bit flat going into an election.
It's sold off after this last election. Let's see, November 1st it was up, and then by November 22nd it sold off quite a bit.
With elections coming up, I kind of wonder what we're going to see.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I think our biggest risk short term is the banking sector. There's a lot of potential liquidity problems and other issues. Even though we aren't hearing a lot of problems with banks, we are seeing every once in a while a bank kind of merges with another one that's having issues. It's being kept quiet. And then we're seeing a lot of banks are borrowing money from the Fed right now to keep their ratios where they need to.
But just like with any business, so you're going to have some that go under.
You are. So the question is, does it become not systemic, but contagious? Does it become contagious and it starts cascading is the better word. As long as that doesn't happen, we'll be okay. But if it does cascade, that could be another issue, and that would send gold up. If we have another issue with China, potentially in Taiwan, that could send gold up. Wars often spike gold, but then they do come back down from it. So as you saw that chart, it went up and down. Mm-hmm. So right now, I don't think I would count on gold going to 3,000 before it comes back down. It's most likely going to test this level of all-time high, to kind of test the $2,100 range. And we'll see if it goes above that or if it starts to fall back down. So a lot of that's going to depend on people like us that are in this chat. Are we feeling like we want to start selling gold right now or not? Are we going to hold it? Or are we buying more because we think it's going higher? We're not the ones that are going to make the difference in the market by any means, but that's what the central bankers are looking at. Do we keep buying it at the same pace? What else is going on with the spot price of paper gold? And as you guys know, what goes up comes down. So that's why I say dollar cost average, get a strategy in place. Someone earlier had mentioned when the price goes down, they buy more. And when the price goes up, they slow their purchases down, but they're always buying. And I think that kind of
being consistent. That's what I like to do, is be consistent.
So that's what I would throw out there. Okay, let me, what I'd like to do real quick, guys, because we are getting kind of to the top of the hour here. What questions do you guys have for Daryl that we can ask Daryl and maybe get some answers for you guys? And let's keep it relevant to, you know, numismatic coins, gold, silver, mining companies. And
I do not have any. I have not invested in mining companies. They scare me. So I can't wait to watch his channel to understand them more. To get educate myself on them, because you know that's not something I've been interested in because it's risky. So
well, here's the thing. I invested in Apple back when the iPod came out, before the iPhone.
Oh, wow.
And I was making some great money doing day trading. And there were 2-week cycles. Every 2 weeks it went up, and every 2 weeks it went down. It did it for 6 months. And I made a great amount of money on it. And then, and then I ended up using that money to put a down payment on a house. Had I kept some of that money in there, it would have turned into an incredible amount of money. I think from there it had something like a 15 or 1700% return. So, you know, even with mining stocks, you don't have to put a ton of money into mining stocks to see a good return out of it. So I think it's worth looking into, but I definitely wouldn't, I wouldn't go crazy on them, especially if you don't use them. And you need to know what exchanges to buy them on. Some of them don't exist on Robinhood. Some of them only exist on like, you know,
the OTC market or
And then
some of them that's what I did when I dabbled into crypto. I didn't know a lot about it, so I, you know, put $100 here and there, and I ended up doing very well and cashed out at like 2,500.
Here's a comment for you, Nick.
You're missing the boat, Nick. Just buy the good ones. Well, that's just it. I don't know what the good ones are, so I need to start doing my due diligence and start researching and looking at these companies more.
Yep. You can buy the bigs or just, I mean, you know, and I think that right now, if we are in like the breakout, you know, the mining stocks are going to follow.
Okay, so here's a question from OC Stacker. If you have high graded gold coins slabbed, would you sell them or hang on to them?
I'd hang on to them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a buyer for those. I mean, there's a specific, you know, group of people that like to buy proofs or, you know, highly graded coins and things like that. I mean, you know, there's usually a buyer for that.
I think they're easily a buyer for that, especially graded, and so it's already
But I wouldn't. I
unless
mean,
you have to, unless it's
yeah. I mean, it just depends on your situation. I mean, if you need the liquidity and you need the money, sell it. If you don't need the money and you're like, hey, you know, I'll be fine if I hold on to this, then I would keep it.
I'd keep it. Hang on to it as long as I could.
I agree, and I think it also depends on what you paid for it. So right now, a lot of graded pre-33 gold, for example, has gone up.
That's always been popular. They'll never make those again.
They don't make them. They're not making more of it. Most of what is in good grade has been sent in. Now, every once in a while, someone comes across one that's been sitting in a relative's, you know, safe. But for the most part, if you've got some good pre-33 graded stuff, I definitely would find out the value of it compared to what you paid for it. And then I'd look at how much of it you have. I definitely wouldn't unload all of it. There's no reason to do that right now. But if you need some of the cash, then it could be a good time to do that right now. Especially, you have to look at that market's a little bit different. What happens is different coins become popular for different periods of time. So if you go back about to 2022, the St. Gaudens were going crazy, and the value of them went way up. And you could buy the $5 and the $2.50 Indian head coins for, you know, pretty close to spot price. They were just a little bit over it. Those have now gone up. And then the most recent one is the $10 Indian head has exploded in price to where you're paying maybe $1,000 premium on top of the spot price just to get one that's graded at like MS62. So those have just skyrocketed in price. So if you have one of those, OC Stacker, that's something you may look at and say, hey, I've got two of these. Maybe now's a good time to sell one because I've made a couple $1,000 on it or $1,000 on it. But I can't tell you what to do. Not financial advice, guys. Just giving you some ideas.
I'd hang on to it. If you didn't have to sell, I'd hang on to it.
Okay, what else we got here? We've got so Craig's just pointing out there's other ones like Charles Schwab. I think TD just got sucked up into Charles Schwab recently. You have like Fidelity, and you have like
Yeah, you
got stuff. E-Trade.
Yeah, so many brokers. I actually use Robinhood now because they give you on their gold, they give you 3% on your contributions to your IRA.
Oh, wow.
3%. So I mean, there's little hacks, where you can get a little extra money, and if you don't want to keep it, you can
that all
transfer
adds up.
Yeah, like,
That adds up. That's
Mhm. Yep, exactly. So if you can keep it, I mean, and then, or if you can get that capital and then transfer it to another brokerage that you like, I mean, ultimately, I mean, just what can we get? I'm always trying to turn a dime to a dollar.
For sure. The other thing
I like it.
Here's the other thing to throw out too. We're at the end of the year. There's a thing called shoot, Daryl, you'll have to remind me the name of this. I got it. Tax loss harvesting. Okay. This is something I had a stockbroker teach me back in 2003. When you get to the end of the year, if you've got stocks that you've held on to for, if it's been less than a year, it's going to be a short-term capital gain. If it's been longer than a year, it's going to be a long-term capital gain. When you get to the end of the year, if you have a stock that has taken a loss and you need to take additional losses on your tax return for the year, you can sell that stock right now. And so oftentimes you'll see the stock market start to dip a little bit towards the end of the year because a lot of people start doing this. But you can sell those stocks and you can buy them back in 30 days, or you can go buy an adjacent stock to that. And what do I mean by that? If you have a bunch of Newmont, for example, since we're talking about gold and silver stocks, you can sell your Newmont stock, for example, if you wanted to, and you could go buy GDX, or you could go and buy what's the other pick one we were talking about earlier? Barrick Gold. And you could turn around and buy that this as soon as the trade is settled. So in a couple of days, you can turn around and buy that, and you can hold on to that, or you can wait 30 days. Now, I wouldn't necessarily do that with a stock that's paying out a good dividend that you got at a good price. But what I'm really talking about is if you bought a stock at $100 and it's sitting at $80 right now, and you could use an additional write-off, you can do that. If you have an LLC, you can do the same thing with gold and silver coins. Talk to your accountant, your CPA, and check with them on that. But one of the reasons I sell on eBay is I've got the ability to, I can sell at a loss and I can sell at a profit. It doesn't make a huge difference to me because I am mostly W-2'd income. I'm the highest kind of income tax you can get. And so I'm always looking for ways of reducing some of that. So if I have a purchase that I decided it dudded right on me, I'm just going to get rid of it and take a loss, and it's okay. I think it's a little harder to do that if you don't have an LLC set up, but talk to your CPA and see if that's something, if you're able to be able to use that as a write-off. Otherwise, it's just going to be like a stock. You can't always do that with everything. So you got to talk to your CPA, make sure you're within the rules to do that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. We had a couple more questions come in. I think Craig Shelby, and then we had Neophyte. Neophyte said I was chopping his comments up the other day when we were on live, Surfer. So hopefully we can address Neophyte's comment as well.
Yeah, let's hit this and we'll hit Neophyte after that. We'll make sure we get all his in there.
All right. So are there mining stocks that pay dividends? Yeah. So the mining stocks do not pay a lot of dividends. I mean, Newmont Mining pays 4 to 5%. Which that's like one of the highest I've seen. You do have Pan American Silver. The ticker is PAAS. I think they pay anywhere from, let's see, they are at 2.5%. I think Barrick Gold is at 2%. So you're not getting like the same amount of yield as like you were if you were in like energy stocks. Like some of the energy stocks I'm in are 20%, or such. But like if you want to, hold the miners, and collect a dividend because you're expecting them to go up. These are like a couple of them that pay dividends. And so, but then, also, I mean, it just kind of depends on the market cap. And if they're a small cap, they have more chance of a bigger run up, when it does run. But, it's all dependent on your risk tolerance and if you want to collect a dividend while you're waiting.
I believe that's great. Okay, let's see. Neophyte. I don't know how far back we need to go, but
I think it's right after Craig Shelby's comment that.
Okay. So let me find that one real quick because this just shifted on me. Okay, right here. This one here.
All right. Do you have any buy and hold positions with no intent to sell in the energy sector? No, I do not. All of my energy sector stocks, I have an intent to sell. The markets run on, they're cyclical. And so you can see that I'm just pulling up a chart here. The value to growth ratio chart, which is very important to understand. But I'm going to share this chart real quick just so we can see this. Boom. All right. So here we are. This is the value to growth ratio. So whenever, and I'm not subscribing. All right. So I got enough subscriptions. All right. So when you see this chart here, this shows like when growth stocks are outperforming. So growth stocks are, tech sectors, a lot of tech sector stocks, the Magnificent Seven. These are stocks where people pile in ahead of time, anticipating future growth. And so we saw this, with many stocks back in 2021, Roku, a lot of these other stocks that just ran up significantly. So whenever these run up, that means that value stocks are not doing well. So when a chart is up, that means growth stocks are up. When a chart is down, that means value stocks are up. And so as we can see over the last, after that tech bubble, many people went into the value sector, collecting dividends, things of that nature. And then when we got to 2021, we saw the growth sector start to outperform again. We saw that sell off into value stocks. And then again, so I say that to say that pretty much everything is cyclical. So same thing with energy sector. So whenever the energy sector starts to run, I'm not going to hold on to that stuff because it's going to plummet once. So when the energy sector starts to run, there's going to be more investment into energy companies. They're going to try to bring more production online. The prices of energy are usually high, things of that nature. And so I'm just going to show one more little chart here. So this is the S&P 500. So when you look at the S&P 500 and you look at their holdings, they only have let's see, where energy, 4.5% energy. So in the last energy bull market, S&P 500 had, I think it was at least 18%, 20%. So this shows that the big money, the big funds, the hedge funds, the pension funds, they aren't investing in energy enough. So this is a metric that I use. So whenever this number starts to get higher, you start to see like, okay, there's FOMO, the S&P, energy makeup in the S&P is higher, then I'm going to look to sell because at some point it's going to go down because it's all cyclical.
I think that's a good point. It's the same thing with gold, guys. When gold and silver jump, there's gravity. It pulls it back down at some point. So there's going to be times where it's better to buy. There's times when it's better to sell. But it's all going to shift. Here's one for Nick. At least this is a question I think maybe Nick might be able to answer better than I can, or Daryl, but you guys may have a thought on this too.
I have a 2014 slab reverse proof continued.
So Joe, I guess I'll read this out loud in case someone's listening.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I was reading it.
I have a 2014 W slabbed, which would be West Point, I believe.
Yes, West Point.
Proof silver Kennedy $50 that has that
Not
has
quote.
the ask not quote graded by NGC that has a grade of PF 69 Ultra Cameo. Should I sell it to buy more silver or sit on it?
I would keep it depending. Do you need to sell? I mean, that's a great coin. It's a beautiful coin. And I believe that was the only year that they made the reverse proof in the Kennedy half dollar.
Yeah, that's a good that's a
That's
good
a beautiful
question.
coin. And it's a high grade.
Yeah. So when you guys have something that, look, when you have something that's really cool, that is rare, really rare, that you like, be careful with feeling the pressure of FOMOing to sell that to go buy, generic silver rounds and stuff, especially if it's something you think you may regret doing down the road, unless you need to. So I'd be with Nick on that one too. I'd probably hold on to that one until you get to a point where you really need to move it.
Yes, because I think that would be an easy sell because a lot of people love the Kennedys, the half dollars, and being a reverse proof. That's beautiful. It's a
I would
beautiful
hold that
coin.
one. So Daryl has a question for you. How long have you been stacking, and which is your biggest stack, gold or silver? Or maybe you can share with us a percentage of, are you heavier gold, heavier silver?
Yeah, so I've been stacking since 2020, and my biggest stack, I would say the biggest value amount is gold, because gold is just more valuable than silver. I have more ounces in silver than I have in gold, but as far as like the amount of, if I was to calculate the value, I have more in gold than I do in silver. And I think that, I mean, honestly, I try to hold I hold silver, but I have less conviction on it than I have gold, per se, just because of the industrial aspect of silver. And then central banks are buying gold, not silver. And
Yeah.
so, but I do think that if gold becomes very, very expensive, even though it's like so divisible, you can, buy gold backs or whatever, the 1/10 gram cards or things like that. I think that a lot of people will run into silver though.
That was a 50th anniversary coin on that reverse proof Kennedy.
50th anniversary.
Yeah. So
Don't
I
sell that.
don't
Unless you
sell
want
it.
to sell it to me or Nick, and we'll give
I'll
you
buy it from you. Yes.
we'll give you spot price for that. I'm just kidding.
Well, no, I'll buy it for what it's worth.
Nick will buy it for what it's worth. So
Because
if you
I'd
do want
keep
to
it,
sell
I'd
it,
hang on to it. I think it'd be worth it because 50th anniversary reverse proof came in. It's beautiful. I mean, I just looked at the coin and I mean, I'll buy it now.
here's another, to Nick's point earlier, guys and gals too, is if you've got something you want to sell and you know it has value, but you're afraid to take it to your local coin store, and maybe you don't have a FeeBay account or Instagram where you can sell it, don't be afraid to ask other people about it in the community. Don't be afraid to email a YouTuber that's doing
Yeah,
this.
please do. Yeah.
Email Nick. We'll start to ask around and try to find out if there's someone that would like to pick it up. Tell us what you need to. Okay, first off, let me rephrase this. I don't look at my email all the time, so I'm not looking for a big list of stuff. Okay, so I don't want the 50 coins you're trying to. I won't be able to help you with that. But if you've got like one question like that came up, where you've got one particular coin and you're looking to move it and you want to see if someone has interest in it, then that's great. Maybe down the road, Nick and I can put a way together for you guys to kind of share a list back and forth. But right now, we don't have an easy way of doing that to scale.
But that is a great exit strategy, or one way, and that's selling peer to peer.
Yep.
I think so too, for sure. Okay, so there was another comment that I've lost in here. Oh, here it is. So you guys, there's IRAs, which are traditional, which you take and pay with before taxes from your employer. Or if you are self-employed, you can also set up traditional IRAs through your business with your CPA. Just talk to him about it. You also have Roth, which is after tax, and you're able to not pay tax on that, but there's limitations on income. There are ways to take a traditional IRA and do a backdoor Roth IRA. You're going to be paying a bunch of taxes for it, but there's a way to transfer it. And then if you've got more time to grow before you go into retirement age, you can get advantages to that.
Mm-hmm.
But those are things to be thinking about. You can also put gold and silver into those IRAs. I think there's a few places that'll do crypto. You can do stocks. You can do real estate if you do it in a certain way.
I still don't understand why would I still don't understand the logic behind putting gold in the IRA.
I don't do it.
I haven't researched it much at all either. Maybe it's some compelling factor to it, but I can just
the only compelling factor for me to put gold or silver into an IRA is if you're doing a Roth and you anticipate the price of gold multiplying by multiples up, and you're planning on selling it to liquidate it. If you're just planning on passing it to your kids, there's no reason to put it in an IRA.
Yeah. And I learned a few different things. Like I used to just be straight Roth only, but I mean, even traditional IRAs, they have like, even though it's pre-tax, and then say like after you retire, your income is going to reduce dramatically, then you're going to be taxed off your income level that you're at. But if you're like, say like you're retired and you still own a 6-figure business, like you're going to be taxed hella, so like, yeah, it just kind of depends. You got to look at all these different factors for Roth versus traditional.
That is totally true. Okay, I'm seeing if anybody else had another question in here. So Craig says my gold IRA is in my safe. So yeah, I get it. It's called stacking. Yeah, that's funny.
I do want to put a plug in if I can.
Absolutely.
So I'm doing a lot of work with Rick Rule, and they're launching Battle Bank, which is going to be a bank that where you can pretty much take out loans against your precious metals.
Oh.
Do you have a date on that? I signed up for that thing like a year ago. I'm still waiting to hear more about it.
So what I heard is they submitted their questions to FDIC back in the summer, and now they're just awaiting the next response.
So yeah. Is it open for investors?
Yeah, so it'll be open for anyone. They're going to pay competitive rates. So instead of having physical branches, it's all online. Mm-hmm. But instead of having physical branches, they pay that in a interest to the account holders, the depositors. They're going to have it to where you can own rental property in your IRA. You can own precious metals in your IRA. You can take out loans against your precious metals. And they're going to have it to where you can own foreign currencies in your accounts and your accounts as well. So it's going to be pretty. It's going to be pretty, revolutionary. And so
it sounds like it.
Yeah, they did this before with Everbank. They had Everbank back in the early 2000s. They ended up building it up. I mean, back then they only had, it was online bank, all online. They built it up to, I think it's like 300,000 depositors or something.
Wow.
And then ended up going public, and then they sold it to the TIAA, which is like the Teachers Investment Annuitive, something like that. And they sold it for like $3 billion or something like that. So.
Wow. I would love to have you back just to talk about that.
Yeah. So Nick, I
mean, that would be very interesting.
I'm to find out about investing in the company before it launches, and there just I haven't heard anything back on that. But
yes. So they're still waiting through the regulatory process and everything, and so
how long does that take?
Shoot, he's been on the wait list for a year. I've been on the wait list for like a year or two.
Oh, well, I want to get on this waiting list. That sounds very interesting.
Let me see if I can find the link real quick, guys.
I think it's battlebank.com.
Battlebank.com. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, here we go.
That's very interesting.
Okay, so I've been following Rick Roll for probably 2 years. Maybe I've been on there for 2 years. I don't know. As soon as that thing, he announced it, I put it, or I sent my email in, right, of interest. So there's another company, Daryl. We're going to do an interview with another interview with Benjamin from Goldback that does the Goldback notes.
Yeah.
They've got it's not a bank. It's like a nonprofit organization out of Utah that's a vaulting facility. And one of the things, it's UPMC or UPMA. Sorry, UPMA. And one of the things they do is you can buy silver eagles or gold eagles, and they'll store them there for you. So that's one thing you can do. It's a vaulting facility. And you can also buy gold backs, and then you can lend the gold backs out to them, and they pay about a 3% yield on those. So as people are putting in the comments here, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. Yes, that's true. If we get into an SHTF situation, that's true. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. However, if you don't think that's happening tomorrow, then there's probably ways. We've just discussed a whole bunch of ways that you can make other money that allows you to create more money so you can buy more gold and silver, versus just having 100% of it sitting in your vault or safe at home. So when you're looking at all those other things, yes, a bank might be a little scary to put some gold and silver in, or a nonprofit organization or a gold and silver IRA. The reality is if you don't need it today and you think there's going to be some time that this country's still going to be around and other things like that, then there's going to still be time to earn money and yield and other things like that too. So I'm a big fan for diversification and making sure that that you guys are not getting too extreme in one particular area, because I know that can be easy for a lot of us.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
It's very easy.
Yeah, go ahead, Nick. You're about to say a comment.
Yeah, I was silver heavy, and then I realized I needed to stop buying so much silver and start investing in gold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think even there's a few comments about the banking, and putting your metals in the bank. And it also depends on for me, I'm fortunate to be in a position to where I mean, companies I invest in on the stock exchange, like I know the CEOs. I got a couple of the CEOs and numbers in my phone. And so, even with Rick Rule, I got Rick Rule's number in my phone. And he's one of the founders of Battle Bank. And so I have a certain level of trust, with him, and not saying that everyone should have that certain level of trust based off me and my relationship with them. But I do know that they are, first of all, they're libertarians. So they're for the people, they're for less government and all of that. Right. And I think that, just the authenticity and how upfront they are with the products, I think that it'll be something.
They're very successful. And
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt to follow successful people and trying to do what they do, because obviously they know what they're doing.
Yeah. They did it before and they sold
right?
the bank.
So if just like Warren Buffett, invest what he's investing in, because he's very successful at it. He knows what he's doing. So sometimes it doesn't, hurt to follow.
Yeah, I'd rather do that than go to one of these bigger banks, that give you 0.02% unless you're putting like $250,000 in the bank, so it's like, yeah, hey, when you're looking at banking, you have many people, there's statistics out there where billions of dollars, like banks have got out of hundreds of billions of dollars off average people, depositors who just by not paying them any interest,
and the fees that they charge for accounts.
Yeah. So
so they're charging you for your checking account, your savings account, and if you don't have so much money, so you're not getting much interest, but they're charging you quite a bit.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So those are just some factors to take in, not shading on anybody's take. You believe what you want. I don't mind freedom of speech, First Amendment, whatever. But just that's my take on it.
Yeah. I agree. It doesn't hurt to have an open mind and do your due diligence and look into things. And you might find something that is a lot better than what you're doing right now.
I agree. And the thing I like to do is learn. So I got an associate's, then I got a bachelor's, then I got a master's degree. And a lot of that whole process was learning how to do research and how to figure things out and how to process information and how to retain it. I have a lot of audiobooks. Why do I have audiobooks? Because when I'm driving, I don't listen to music, and that's me. My rest of my family just wants to listen to music. They think I'm crazy, but I try to consume as many books as I possibly can, because it doesn't matter listen to music, but when I'm in the car, it's a great time when it's quiet. I can listen to the audiobooks. So I like to do that.
I like to hold the book still. I like to hold my books still. I love that, to be able to turn the page.
I don't get more than 10 minutes sitting on the couch before someone's asking me to go fix something or do something.
Oh, so, I see.
I rarely get time to sit down and just zone out in my house. I'm usually on the go, or something's happening. I mean, I don't have a lot of zoning time. Surfer's like working 2 jobs now doing this YouTube channel. So
yes, well, that's true. You have been busy with that. Yes, usually mine's at night.
With that said, I think it's important to learn, guys. That's why we're bringing different people on here too, so you guys can learn different things.
Yeah,
and you're gonna find different things out that with you.
So I'm gonna start listening to his channel. I can't wait.
It's great.
Appreciate it, Nate. I gotta have you on there on the channel too. I gotta have you on the channel too, Nate.
You should jump on there one of these days.
I'd love to.
Was it earlier this week, or was it maybe it was last week? I can't remember it.
Well, you do live streams as well. So you do live streams, and then okay.
Mm-hmm. So Surfer was just on it was a couple of days ago or so. I think it was a couple of days ago.
Like Monday.
Do you have a set time that you do your live streams?
No, it just all depends. I just got out of Surfer was talking about college. I just finished my master's degree.
Oh, congratulations!
Got 3 kids, married. Wow. So it depends on when.
So you're busy as well. 3 kids. So you have a 5-year-old.
Yep, 5, 14, and 1.
Oh my goodness, are you busy? Mine's just started college, so my time is more free now than ever.
I understand. I'm envious.
Well, yes. Well, it seems like though, yes, a lot more because they have to pay for college education now.
Mm-hmm. But I don't want to rush life. I want to enjoy every.
Oh, moment. Enjoy it, yes, because it does. It goes by so fast. It does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Comments on here. Constitutional Stacker doesn't know how to read, but he can write, so that's good.
I can't retain it if I'm listening as well as I can while I'm reading, because I get distracted when I'm listening to something.
It all depends on how you guys go and how you work with it. So my favorite books, I buy them all in paperback, and I keep them. I have a copy here, and I listen to them on audiobook. And I have an Audible account that we get like a credit a month or something like that. And
I do that as well. Yeah,
$80 in there or whatever.
I started with them too.
Yeah.
So do you guys have any books that you've read that you can recommend that you think would be very interesting for us?
The Creature from Jekyll Island, you guys need to read.
Okay, so Jekyll Island, my husband is from Waycross, Georgia, and I had lived in Waycross, Georgia too. And Jekyll Island is right down the road from where my husband and I used to visit that island, and we used to go swimming in the ocean over there, Jekyll Island. So that's where the Fed was started.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's a good one. I haven't read it yet, but that's on my list.
I have heard of that book, but yes, it's just funny because I used to go to Jekyll Island thinking this was great, and now it's like I never want to go there again.
There's a couple. Go ahead. Sorry. I'll let you go with your list. Yep.
Another one that I'm just starting to read is Guide to Investing in Gold and Silver by Michael Maloney. I just want to see what he has to say. He's Robert Kiyosaki's guy. I'm a big Robert Kiyosaki fan.
Okay.
I'm also a fan of Dave Ramsey for different reasons.
I like Dave Ramsey as well.
I know there's a lot of stuff like the trash.
He helped me at some points in my life. He does have some practical things, but there's some. I just disagree with him on some of the.
I do disagree with him on some things, but where he does help is how to get you out of debt. Yeah. And that's where it helped us when we first got married was, because spending all these money on weddings and all this stuff. I mean, probably for a year, we probably ate peanut butter and jelly for, I don't know how long, but it didn't have cable, just to get out of that debt. But I'll tell you what, once you get that freedom and you're not in debt anymore, it tastes a lot better.
Yeah. He has some really good tactics and everything. And I just think that, my thing is like, there's multiple ways up the mountain. And so
yes, I agree. And sometimes on some things it can be extreme, but then he also does not believe in investing in gold and silver.
Yeah, and he's more mutual funds and stuff, and
Robert
Kiyosaki don't like him. I like
him, but it seems like the more he got big and made his millions, it seems like he wasn't so for the regular folks.
Mm-hmm.
And
exactly.
So Dave Ramsey's books, I think, are great when you've just gotten married or you want to share with your kids for a couple reasons.
And you want to get out of debt.
Well. He has some good strategies about having an emergency fund. Okay. He talks about getting $1,000 first for your emergency fund. He talks about having 3 to 6 months worth of, emergency funds around.
And the envelope system.
My strategy is like 3 months of cash and 3 months of precious metals is kind of what I personally look at. I think there's some good wisdom that's in there. I think there's a lot of wisdom around being careful with credit card debt and with consumer debt. He doesn't like credit cards. I have 20 credit cards. Why do I have 20 credit cards? Because I know how to use them and I pay them off. And I have ways of maximizing points and doing all kinds of stuff and getting freebies for it. Plus, I also want to have the ability to do short-term leverage if I need to. Okay. Dave Ramsey would say no to that. He would say that's bad, surfer. Don't do that.
That's stupid.
It's stupid. He would also say gold is stupid. So he'd say that's dumb. And I also hate mutual funds. I'll never own another mutual fund in my life. I won't do it. So right now my 401k is all sitting in cash, earning about 4% interest because I have 10 mutual funds I can choose it from. That's it. And I don't want to be involved in those mutual funds. I just don't like them. And so that's what I'm doing there. Robert Kiyosaki, I'm a big real estate guy. I come from a real estate and banking family. My dad was a real estate developer and a banker. I've owned a lot of real estate. I've done a ton of real estate transactions. I've owned rental homes. I have taken a storage facility through the city of Mesa, Arizona, 140,000 square foot, got it to building permits, and then was in the process of selling it when the whole market died. And that's another story for another day. But I've done a lot of that kind of stuff too. And I love with Robert Kiyosaki, he talks to you about using leverage and loans for business debt to grow your money and your wealth. And I like that a lot. So I think there's things you can glean from different people. There's another great book, The Millionaire Next Door, that my dad had me read when I got married. That's a great book too. I forget the author of that.
No, it's not Dave Ramsey. He recommended it, but I think it's
it's a different author, but it's another great book to look at. I love the Rich Dad Poor Dad series of books. So what I say is look at those different things, see how it works for you and your family, and see what happens for you. Daryl mentioned it earlier when he talked about alpha and beta investors. Some of us really should not be trying to manage our own stock portfolios and trying to figure out all of our own finances because either we emotionally cannot handle it, we don't have the emotional intelligence for it, or
we don't have the time.
We don't have the time for it, right? And so that's where you can start to get help from other people to do things. I keep firing my stockbrokers because all they want to do is a certain kind of stock. I'm looking for someone that's much more broad, that doesn't just get fixated only in tech stocks.
Yeah, they got the cookie cutter.
I don't go with that. But when I've tried to do it on my own, I get too obsessed with it, and I'm watching the stock ticker the entire day, and it just consumes me. So I also can't do that. So it was a little easier to put more stuff into gold and silver, and then other bigger companies I could just let sit. So I'm a little bit more probably on that beta side right now, just because of my lack of time. But all those books can be great. So those were some of the books that I had. E.B. Tucker's got a great book on gold that explains really kind of his basis of why you might want to look at a royalty company. And it also talks about the importance of gold. I can't remember the name of it. I couldn't find it, but I do have that.
Why gold?
Before we wind it down real quick, what's your favorite books, Daryl? And then what's your favorite books, Nick, that you think would be?
All right. So I'm kind of in, I don't know, this may just reveal like what I be studying. So one book that I'm going through now is called The Fourth Turning is Here. This is by Neil Howe. He studies demography and historical cycles. And so, which I can explain the fourth turning, but I'm not going to get into that here. But they pretty much called like what's happening now in their first book that they wrote in him and Bill Strauss. Bill Strauss passed away. They wrote back in 1997. And so they, based off understanding the cycles of history in America, they called that in the 2000s decade, we were going to have some type of crisis that was going to strike a crisis mood and pretty much start the next turning, which ends in a pretty bad crisis. And the previous fourth turnings were Great Depression, World War II, before that, the Civil War, and then before that, the Revolutionary War. So, and it's every 80 to 100 years. So that's one book. That's a big one. Were you about to say something, Nick?
I was going to say, I believe they say there's been 14 recessions in America since World War II.
Yeah, probably. I think so. Yeah. And most I think socialists like use that as their argument or something against like
Mhm.
capitalism, but we're not going there.
No,
All
no,
right.
there's a whole thing with that as well, but I'm
That's a
familiar.
whole other couple
Yeah, that's
hours.
a whole nother, yeah.
So we do have and then another book. So I'm reading that. I have an interview with Neil on my channel. I interviewed him back in I think September to talk about his projection on the fourth turning and the crisis that we may see. His projection is by 2030 we may experience a big crisis that's going to start the next um, building of institutions. And so that's one book. That audio book is about 20 hours.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm getting through it. The other book I have that I'm about to go through is Broken Money by Lynn Alden. Actually, have it in here. Yeah, I have Broken Money by Lynn Alden. That's one book. I don't even know where it went, but that one's going to be about 500. I think that's about 500 pages. She breaks down the whole how the system of money works, and and she just goes through everything, why money is broken and why we need a new financial system. She's bullish gold and Bitcoin, and so she's a big Bitcoin advocate as well. So that's one. This one is one. This is Nomi Prince, who worked for Bear Stearns. She worked for Bear Stearns, Goldman Sachs, and Lehman Brothers. So she writes
Oh,
about the banking system. So this is her most recent book, how the financial markets abandon the real economy forever. And she talks about how the banking system and the Fed pretty much manipulates their policies, manipulate the financial markets and everything. So this is Nomi Prinz. I have an interview with her on my channel as well. And then the next book I have is called The Way the World Works. This is by let me find his name. I think it's called The Way the World Works. Let me just pull up Audible.
I have the
And then,
president's
Daryl,
banker.
if you get a moment to maybe shoot me a note with some of those books later, I can put those in the chat, or not the chat, the
okay. Yeah, I'll do
later.
that. So the How the World Really Works is by Vaclav Smile or something like that. But he talks about, he's a mathematician, but pretty much I learned about this book through billionaire Robert Freeland, who I had the pleasure of meeting. And he started like multiple mines. He owns Ivanhoe Mines and Ivanhoe Electric, which are both on the stock exchange.
Mhm.
And he built a copper mine over in Africa. And and so this book in particular talks about our need for energy, our need for metals, our need for mining. And it talks about how the world works. Because there's a lot of people that just come out there. I've seen protesters of oil on the street corners, but they don't even know like their clothes are made from oil.
Right.
So
Right.
like so things like that. And so like
That's absolutely true.
yeah, and it's like, yeah, we have to like really be educated on how the world really works. And that's what that book is about.
Yeah.
I think those are great.
I'm reading The Great Reset by Glenn Beck.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, I did that one too. That was a good one.
And also on Iran Contra, the truth behind Iran Contra.
Yeah, I watched a documentary on that. I drove. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, my aunt, her uncle was Caspar Weinberg. So yeah, he was part of that whole thing. So
I think that's great. Well, guys, I think it was a great night. I really
enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah,
people asking a lot of questions in here on stuff too. Constitutional Stacker was mentioning that he missed out on $1 million. I'm going to trump that, and I'm going to share one thing with you guys because it bummed me out pretty bad. So I missed out on $22 million with Apple stock. If I had held on to my Apple stock from 2005, it'd be $22,000 today, guys. $22 million today.
Wow.
So,
well, but you can't dwell on that, right? You have to just keep moving forward. You can't dwell on your losses. You just got to try to continually make better decisions.
But every once in a while, I'll go do the calculation to see how big it is.
Well, I would, I would just have to put that behind me and say that just wasn't mine at the time, but God has more in store for me.
Definitely. Here's the thing. I mean, you need to go through a lot of life experiences. I've needed to go through every one of my life experiences to get to the point I'm at now. And that 22 million bucks would not have allowed me to do it the way that I've done it. You've done it in a different way. And the bigger you go up, the more you have to fall to. It can be ugly. But everything that's happened for me has been great. So the one thing I'll just tell you guys with that is if you really like a company and you think it can be good, don't go crazy. I had a lot of money in that. That's when I was playing Apple. I mentioned to you guys earlier. It was more money than I could have really held on to. So it's really more of a hypothetical potential win. But if you have something you really like that you think could go up, don't be afraid to put a small amount in there and just hold it for a long time. You never know when it's going to be big. $1,000 investment in Apple back in like 1999. I'd have to look at it, but it would have made you a lot of money. And, you can do those every once in a while. But Daryl, thank you for coming on. And we really enjoyed it.
Yes, I really enjoyed it too. Appreciate the audience showing so much love. Be sure to subscribe.
I did. I subscribed just a few seconds ago, so I can't wait to start watching your videos.
Yep, I'm going to subscribe to you now as well.
Thank you.
Then, guys, how many thumbs up did we get to? Did we hit 50 or how close did we come?
45. I think that's good enough.
I think it's good enough. I think we should do a quick giveaway. So, Daryl, do you have a question that you could ask that we can put we can try to get answers from to see who's going to win a silver quarter today?
Yes. So Daryl, I break open mint sets because I don't see any value in them. So now I broke this one open that's Surfer Cent, and it's silver quarters, women's quarters. So that's what we'll give away.
Okay. Yeah, giving away one or all of them?
We're going to do one tonight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. A question, huh? I don't even have anything off the top of my head.
It's not fair for me to ask you, but I thought maybe you might have something creative. Nick and I just do numbers.
Yeah, we're not creative at all, Daryl. Your daughter's probably more creative than I am right now.
Right, she's energetic. She probably got some ideas.
Oh my gosh. And she had a basketball. She likes sports.
She's not into sports yet, but she likes watching.
Well, she's holding on to a basketball, so that's good. That's what Larry Bird always held on to a basketball too.
I got a question. What was the gold to silver ratio that Isaac Newton set?
Isaac Newton.
Okay, so you guys are going to have to either guess or go look this up real fast.
I need to Google that myself.
I'm going to put start down on here right now. You guys are going to have to go figure that out.
Oh, I read about this too.
So here's what I'm going to tell you guys. You might want to put, so it's only one guess, but you want to look at, if you don't know what it is, then you want to hurry and put something down. And if you think what the other people are putting down, try to be the first one on there.
Okay. That was a good one, Daryl. That was a really good one. Okay, I think we got the answer. Let me see.
All right. So I'm gonna do a countdown here.
I don't know if it's the exact. Well, can we do the closest maybe? Because
yeah, we can do the closest. Too hard, Daryl. No, it's at least one. Well, let me put it this way. You either knew it or you had to be really quick to go find it.
Yeah. Okay. So do we want to stop? Because I see something close.
Yes,
it's a little over though.
Oh, I got to hit stop. Sorry, guys. Stop. All right, here we go. Okay.
We all at the same conclusion too. I have 15.5.
That's what I have.
Okay. Cool.
15.5. So I saw somebody had 15.9. I know that's a little over, but it's close. Let's see.
I think Craig Shelby had.
Yeah, Craig Shelby. I think he came. Well, then we had over. So let me see. Think.
Yeah, we usually don't go over on our stuff.
Okay, so it'd be
like
Craig.
So it's going to be Craig.
Craig, oh, great, because I have another package going out for him too. So that's
Okay,
awesome. All the way in Hawaii.
So one of these days, Craig,
Congratulations.
we'll have to do a party in your neck of the woods, man.
I'd love to go to. I want to go to California. I just need to go to the West Coast.
Yes, that we're going to arrange that because
Yeah, I've been everywhere in the Midwest, up and down the East Coast, but have not.
I don't want to go. I really don't want to go to Maine in the middle of the winter. That's kind of cool.
Well, to be honest with you, it's not as cold as one would think, and we have a lot of toys that we could, things we could do in the winter over here.
Joseph said, I said 12-1. So Joseph, that was the historical ratio before Isaac Newton said it. Yeah, I think it was 12-1 before Isaac Newton said it. Said it at 15.5.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's hard I don't know how to show our feed with this program right now. I don't know if there's a way to show that, to show who came in first on that, Nick.
Yeah, so we're looking on our StreamYard. So
we have Neophyte Stacker coming in at 16, Eagle Steve at 16, Craig at 15. We had Ellie at 100. OC Stacker was at 15.
Michael said he was spot on.
Who was spot on? Let's see. I don't see where Michael is on here.
I don't either.
I don't know, Michael. You might have said it after I said it.
So I don't see it.
Michael's like, I know it now.
Because I didn't see his comment when
I didn't either.
Michael, it may not have come through to us. The only comment I see from you says me too. And then I had gold was considered to. Oh, here we go. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I do see that.
Buried in there. All right, here's this one real quick. 15.5 times the value of silver. And it was right before the stop. So actually, I do think Michael got this one.
Oh, okay. Well, congratulations, Michael. That's great. And then, so it's Craig was going to have us give it to OC. So I'm going to send one to OC and I'll do one for Michael.
All right, that sounds like a deal.
I think we should do that.
All
so
right, we do our best. We're not trying to sneak it off of anybody. So
we have plenty. We'll give one to Michael and we'll give one to Craig that's donating it to OC.
And one of these days we'll figure out how to go off of. We're on StreamYard. If you get onto what is it called? OBS. It gets super fancy and you can show a lot of these things like the guys that are doing the auctions, but it takes like a computer science degree to figure out how to use that software.
Right, because we did have Robert Lawson, and he controlled everything and it did wonderful and different camera angles and everything.
I can't figure that out yet. And I sell software, guys, but hey, I don't spend that much time on this.
We should probably let our guests go. We're into the 2 hour mark.
I was just gonna. I saw OC Stack and asked me a question. Who was the first African American to design a silver coin? I had to actually look that up. I knew Booker T. Washington was the first African American on the silver coin, but the first designer, I wasn't sure. I had to look it up, but it's Isaac Scott Hathaway. And I didn't know that Jackie Robinson is on the silver coin. So
yes, he is. Baseball coin. I have that.
You got it. You gonna sell it to me?
I do.
I'm a big Dodgers fan. I would love that coin. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
If
I'll have to dig that one out because that was one of the ones. Because my dad, another thing you can learn from is baseball cards when we're talking about things being worth something. Because back in the 70s they were worth a bunch, and then everybody started collecting them in the 80s, and they're not worth anything to this, unless you have a really old one.
Was that did they have it before then, or it wasn't until 1997? I'm seeing a 1997 one.
That might be the 1997. I had purchased it at an auction.
So here's the tip, guys. Since I think you use StreamYard too, Daryl. If we watch the YouTube video while you're on StreamYard and you turn the sound down, you would be able to show the chat. However, it may come in differently. We'd have to just pick one of the computers to use.
It was the 1997.
little different, but
Okay, that was when it came out in 1997.
Yeah.
I
And-
have go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying on my StreamYard, you can see the comments. I don't know if you purchased a subscription or not.
yeah, we've got it. I just don't know how to show it.
Okay, yeah, because on mine the comments pop up on the side. So
Yeah, mine as well.
I don't know how to show them on the screen for everybody to see the order.
Oh, for everyone to see the order.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, usually people will put it on their phone and like show, but we're not that fancy. But
yeah, so what we showed, guys, is we showed OC going over just a little bit. Okay, I didn't say it had to be over or under, but he's going to get one anyway. So we're going to send one to OC. We're going to send one out to
Michael as well. So Michael, please email me. And I think is it in the description, my email address? I'll just put it in the chat.
There was a video you was gonna show. I don't know if you want to. We cancel that.
About
okay, I got something crazy. I just got to show you guys real quick, and I'm going to turn the sound down because I can't remember what we said during the video. But I just have to show you this because.
Okay, Michael, there's my email address. You can email me your address.
All right, guys. This is what happens when you have too many entitled kids with no parents around. So I took this from my car today. I'm getting ready to go on a freeway, and this is all you can see from my screen, but they're all over us. And these are kids on, these are like $3,000 or $4,000 e-bikes. And I think there were even some behind us. I think we counted about 40 or 50 of them. And as you can see, I'm coming up this light. I've got a green light. I can't go anywhere. There's all these kids. They take off and go left on a red light, and they go and get on a freeway. That is a freeway that they're going on right there. Anyway, that was nuts. So that kind of went back with my thing with Daryl too, is, I think it's okay to spoil your kids a little bit, but set rules, know where your kids are going, teach them courtesy. That right there is completely out of control. And those kids could have been killed.
Manners. That was the big thing in our home. Teach your kids some manners.
You just got to do it. So, all right, everybody. Well, thank you for coming out tonight. And we will be on again at 9:30. We're moving the time up by 30 minutes, but 9:30 on Tuesday, Eastern, or 6:30 Pacific. And look for the subject coming out, and as well as for the video being set up. So until next time, peace out and have a great weekend. Bye, everybody.
All right.
Bye. Have a blessed weekend.